Dr. Sylvia Earle is one of the world's most renowned oceanographers with over 6 decades of her findings and sharing her knowledge of how we can save the planet, how we can improve the quality of life in the ocean. And she's documenting everything in this brand new book, National Geographic's Ocean, a Global Odyssey, filled with over 500 pages of stories and photos. I mean, it's just incredible what's in here. Dr. Sylvia Earle, thank you so much for joining me today. Tell us a little bit about this book and what we're going to see.
Yes, it does reflect a few decades that I've been exploring the ocean, kind of scrunched between two covers, but it also shares the view of dozens of other experts, explorers, scientists, divers, and really is the story of the ocean as up to date as we could make it in terms of what we now know about the ocean that we really could not know when I was a child.
Speaking of being a child, born in New Jersey, grew up in Florida, was it because you lived near the coast that you got to get this early love of the ocean and all things outdoors?
I'm sure that made a big difference. You'll be able to have the ocean as my backyard as a child so that I could really explore and get to know the creatures there from an early age.
You had said in an interview a couple of years ago that we've only explored about 10% of the ocean. Is there a point where we might get to experience more, or is this pretty much like the vast amount of what we might be able to see?
Well, the wonderful thing is the more you know you don't know. You find new ways of looking at things you thought you knew. But as we develop knowledge and the capacity to see more clearly, like the microbial world that even lives within us, it really does dominate the nature of the ocean.
Let's talk a little bit about what's going on with the climate. Obviously, we're seeing weather that's not typical. We're seeing the ocean temperatures getting a lot warmer. I think one of the most important things that you've said in recent years is that we need to find a turning point, not a tipping point. How close are we to getting to that turning point for us?
We have the knowledge. We know what to do. The question is, do we have the will to take the action that will go from decline to recovery? This is the best time ever to be a human being. 21st century human beings have the gift, the superpower of knowledge, of being able to see what nobody could see when I was a child. Of course, nobody had been up in the sky looking back at Earth to see that the world is basically blue. And now to see that everything connects with everything else, and that what we do anywhere affects basically everywhere. And that we have insight about what we're doing to warm the planet and what we can do to reverse the damage. Part of it has to do with what we're putting into the ocean, what we're taking out of the ocean, altering the chemistry of the sea, chemistry of life on Earth. And it's hard to think about changing on a scale that will really make a big difference, but we know that this is the key.
One of the craziest things that I remember reading was at the beginning of the pandemic, when everything shut down, that all the cruise ships weren't going to Venice and that the color of the water had changed and just how quickly it had done so. And it was just such a beautiful sight to see, when we treated the ocean differently and treated it better, just how quickly the ocean recovered. I do want to ask, as far as all the cargo ships that are out on the West Coast that are waiting, is that doing a lot of damage to the water right now?
Well, it's said that 90% of everything gets shipped in today's world, gets shipped by, products, goods, whatever it is. The ocean has become much noisier than it was when I was a child. And certainly going back 100 or 1,000 years when ships did not have big motors and propellers that thunder their way across the ocean, and also spilling bilge water and occasionally spilling cargo. There are some notable examples of cargo with plastic nurdles, those tiny little bits of material that are made into everything from toys to dishes and spoons and shirts and shoes, and you name the many ways that we use plastic. And they are consumed by plankton feeding organisms. And are part of the problem. Nurdles. There's so many of them now loose in the ocean that they wind up on the beaches, and children call them mermaids' tears. They look like little balls of water, but they're plastic. And it just, if we understand what we're doing and why it matters, we are motivated to change. When we know our lives are threatened, as we did with and do now with the pandemic, we do things we never thought we could do or would do. Our lives are threatened by climate change. It's real, it's personal. And personally, every one of us can do something every day, make choices that take us to a better place.
But even looking at this book, even if you don't know much about the ocean, just seeing the beautiful photos inside here, you're going to get a much better appreciation. Do you have a favorite story? Or I know you've been doing this for 6 decades, but something that it means so much to you in this book that you want to make people to make sure they take a look at?
I think the big story is that the ocean is alive. One of the things I love most about that book is the centerfold. There's like 4 pages, both sides, that show the splendor of life, including so many creatures that occur only in the ocean. You'll never see them in the forest or in a desert, and certainly in a city. A lot of strange creatures that we see in cities around the world, but go into the cities in the ocean. I just love telling their stories.
National Geographic's, here we go. A Global Odyssey. Go ahead and check it out. I mean, there's so many beautiful photos. Dr. Sylvia Earle told us her favorite photos in there to go ahead and check out. But definitely perfect for the holidays to go and purchase this for your loved ones. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.